sound, tuning in for change.
And hello everybody, welcome to another Reality Bites with me, your host Wendy Smith, and my special guest today, John Phillips, who I'll introduce in a moment. We now are live on YouTube, so anybody who loves this show and loves Kind of Sound Radio, if you want to just give us a like and subscribe, you'll get notified of when we go live, because there's more shows coming out all the time. So this morning I have John Phillips. So I've known John for a long time now, and John has had one of, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most fascinating lives, and that's why I wanted to get John on this morning and share. So John started life working on a building site when he was 5 years old. He spent 20 plus years in specialist military at governmental level, and he's also run a company called Diverse Martial Arts. He now runs a company called ATR, and he's involved in another one called Pioneering Edge, which is a training and basically sort your life out company as far as I'm concerned, John. So, yeah. John, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
A real pleasure. Thanks, Wendy. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So I wanted to just start unpacking your life a little bit, because the theme for today is there's no such thing as an easy ride. So how did life start off for you, John?
Yeah, so I suppose the earliest memories which you brought up, which was about me and building sites, and the fortunate thing for me is that all of the family members, they were all builders, or grounds. They worked in the ground, labouring. Yeah. So they had that sort of environment, and I wanted to be part of it. So much so that when they were building my estate, we were in this sort of council estate, but they were building it bigger and bigger. That I actually had my own yellow hard hat. I had proper boots. I'd wear shorts, and I've got pictures still of me and my best friend at the time, Kevin. And we were actually, we'd be there. And I remember we actually did the last bit of trowel work on the whole estate. I did the last. I had my own little trowel, and I just do little bits on the basically where we do the pavement and paving, and just trowel it in, just finish it off. But that was really the end of my building career, I suppose, from building-wise. From those younger ages, I did that, and then moved on, really, having such a fondness for sport, I suppose, after that stage. Yeah. So the thing is, with all these things that I hear, and as we get older, we hear about different people, and they go, "Oh, well, I just, I wasn't very good at that." And I often wonder why you're not very good at it, because when I was younger, in those younger ages, 7 years old, 8 years old, I remember just, when the tennis was on, for instance, yeah. I'd be out in the cul-de-sac, and I'd be hitting a ball, or I'd be hitting a ball off a wall, and I'd be doing hours and hours of just hitting the ball. So at a young age, my hand-eye coordination was pretty good, because yeah. I practiced, I kept doing it. Similarly, I was playing golf, and playing sport all the time, playing football. I'd be doing, my aim was that I wasn't very good with my left foot. This was about 9 years old. So I used to kick the ball up just using the left foot, because it didn't work as well as the right. And this is it in life, is that from those younger years, my mum often says that he was a boy of his own mind, pretty much a bit of a loner maybe in some respects. Yeah. Probably been a loner all my life, really. I do like people, although I jokingly say I don't. I do like people, but I'm very selective. I've found that over the years, and that again probably comes from a childhood of great family environment, but also underneath it some really traumatic aspects. Violence.
Was it with the traumatic aspects? Was that what sort of pushed you into sport? Did you find it was like a little bit of a getaway for you or something?
I think I just love sport. It was similarly to building in the family. Sport was heavily involved in the family, and competitiveness. Big family, 9 sort of uncles, aunties, which means they had all of our cousins. There was a massive group. We'd be out on the green field. There was a little patch of grass. where we had Bulldog, who was the nickname of the guy that you didn't want to get the ball into his garden because it always came back burst.
Oh,
so,
right,
there was always sort of some characters around the street that used to chase us when we used to do the old knockdown. But we used to do the old back garden stuff, jump over. So you'd start at the front of the garden, and then because we're all into our, jumping off of garages, we were doing parkour before it was even, really known. We were already...
Before anyone knew anything about it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We were actually doing that, just for fun. So it's, great doing reverse knockdown ginger when you jump over the fence. So you do it from the back garden, because it was even more difficult than doing the front garden.
Oh, we never did that. We used to do the front garden version and then, like you say, get chased around. It used to be like sport, didn't it, when you were younger? I mean, we grew up in a small village as well, and I feel sorry for some of the people. I do apologise now if you're listening and you're still alive. We didn't mean to. We weren't doing anything maliciously. It was just good fun at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And do you remember the old wheelies? So what we used to do, my poor younger brother. So you used to get your bike, make a ramp, and think that you were like Barry Sheen or someone. Who was those ones that used to do the old... but you always put the littlest one, bless them, at the end.
Yeah.
So if you got it wrong, you then get hit. My younger brother was always the one at the end. Bless him.
We used to do the one thing I do remember, my sister will remember this as well. We used to play a game where we'd pretend we'd stand either side of the road round near the school, and we'd have like three of us either side, and we'd all be leaning down, pretending like we had hold of a rope. And then as a car would come round the corner, we'd all jump up and pretend to pull on the rope like that. And the amount of people that anchored up and then would get out their cars and chase us. Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't get into trouble.
Look at the change in... Look at how much fun that was.
Yeah, massive fun.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we were probably a little bit naughty to be, but it wasn't malicious. There was never with malice intent. It was just being a little bit naughty.
Yeah.
And I suppose, yes, we didn't have all the other aspects that kids today are fortunate to have. They are fortunate to have them. Yeah. I often wonder, though, have things been made a little bit easy, though? That's really one of those things is that when you get given stuff, as a youngster, we had no money. I remember doing paper rounds and stuff at the age of 13 to buy trainers and give my brothers better stuff. So I'd give money from that to my mum to make sure that my brothers had better equipment, because I didn't mind the fact that I didn't have, particularly good shoes, particularly, as in not the brands and different things. And I saw other kids, that used to get bullied, when they didn't have quite the same trousers or shoes. And I thought, well, my brothers are not going to my school. They're going to different schools and stuff. And I didn't want that to be a concern for them. So, so I remember, again, doing work and then making sure they had football boots that were, they've got studs in the right place, for instance, that, they don't have to, it was just one of those things. But again, did I make life easy for them? Because I was willing to do it. And as we have stuff and we are more willing, we sort of see our hardships. So as we do stuff and then make life a little bit easier, sometimes we've got to think, is it making life easier?
Yeah, or are you creating something in the future that's going to cause a problem when they hit adulthood? Yeah,
exactly that. So, there's a fine balance of, yes, I don't think we should be stripping things away. At the same time, there should be balance in maybe getting outside. I love the outside personally. I love the, doing certain aspects. So for me, why wouldn't you want to get outside? I think it's pretty much born, though, from, that was the one thing for my mum when the sun was out, you were not
in the house
allowed to stay in. It was like, right, everyone out. I'm sure it was for her respite, but ultimately it was sun up, get outside and go and enjoy it while you can. And I think it was a great lesson there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, kids nowadays, like you say, they do have it. They have some great, you look at your iPads and all these games machines. I mean, they are phenomenal. I used to have an Xbox and I used to thoroughly love playing it, but I wouldn't sit on it all day long, I'd still get out and do other stuff. And a lot of these guys, I mean, working in schools, you work in schools as well. I find that a lot of them, they go home, they literally put their Xbox or PS4 on, and that's it. That's all they're doing. There's no actual outside getting some fresh air, reconnecting, you know, creating your own fun, like you say. You know, so socialising on that tip, they seem to all be socialising on, you know, their game machines and that, which, you know, isn't a bad thing for a few hours, but if you're doing it all night, maybe parents should start kicking their children back outside again.
Yeah, not at night though, Wendy.
Not at night. No. Yeah, don't throw them out like a cat. So you get to 10 o'clock at night and just lob them out and go, come back in the morning. It's fine. Don't disturb us. But yeah, maybe some rules. So John, first song of the day. Yeah. Sweet Caroline, Neil Diamond. Why this one?
Well, funny enough, it just came from exactly what we're talking about. That this is where my mum used to be doing, say, a spring clean, or the sun was out. It might be, it could have been Shirley Bassey. You know, there was a lot of different things booming out, but ultimately the windows, and I remember the curtains blowing, the windows open, the sun coming in, and literally then the sound of Neil Diamond, and why not Sweet Caroline if it's going to be a Neil Diamond song? Indeed.
So, for all you lovely listeners out there, a bit of Neil Diamond and Sweet Caroline. Thank you, Django.
Where it began, I can't begin to knowing, but then I know it's growing strong. Wasn't the spring, and spring became the summer. Who'd have believed you'd come along? Touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined the night, and it don't seem so lonely. We fill it up with only two. And when I hurt, hurting runs off my shoulders. How can I hurt when holding you? Touching warm, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined
sound, tuning in for change. And welcome back to Reality Bites with me, Wendy Smith, and my host this morning, John Phillips. My special guest this morning, John Phillips. So, John, we were talking about the youthful days of you and how we both used to get into a bit of trouble, like unintentional trouble, just doing some fun things and creating your own fun. And one thing that you said about, which I'd just like to touch on first, was the aspect of bullying, actually. Because you said you used to buy, give your mum extra money to give your brothers the opportunity to have like better shoes and that, so they didn't get bullied at school. Did you ever experience any bullying yourself? Was that something that followed you, or was it something that you just never really had?
I remember doing bullying personally as a small young lad. But it was more of a case of that I was always there to protect others. So it was quite an odd one. I wouldn't go out of my way to be a malicious person, but if somebody had been bullying others, then I'd bully them. And although I was, it's not right, I ended up in the headmistresses. I remember in the primary school. And that's my last sort of call into the office, actually, is in a primary school being told that I'm not allowed to use martial arts on the bullies. So I was going out of my way, which is wrong, and there were certain instances there where I'm not very proud of what I did. As I grew up in those primary years, there's still primary years, but there's still, when you look back, I remember there was a guy that has a name calling that I've done, not particularly good, not particularly fond memories of those things, because I know much more now, and I never really had the opportunity to apologise to them, because it must have been horrible for them, and that's the thing, is that when I went to secondary and different aspects, I never got bullied. I was, because I was good at sport, and I did martial arts. I've done martial arts for 40 odd years. That doesn't mean to say that I'm good at fighting. It just means that I can I just stand up for myself. People
hitting you when they're attacking you.
I just stand up for myself.
About martial arts from you. Yeah, that's interesting. How long have you done? When did you start doing martial arts in, John?
Yeah, when I was 7, about 7 years old.
Oh, okay.
So 44 years now is and again, even with that, you suddenly realise that the conditioning that it provides the body. But then, as you get older, you start having a realisation that there's a softer elements, and actually the softer elements are the most special elements. And then you realise that actually even the hard stuff, if you can do it with a soft thread, so relaxation more, the power, and in the end, actually, it's great when you hear this terminology, martial arts, and often people go, we don't want to do that, it's too violent. It's so displaced in the thought process. It's far removed from that violence. Ultimately, it's the awareness that it gives you. It gives you physical conditioning, mental conditioning. It aligns the heart and the head. It aligns the stomach breathing, so you get a better values. You get moved from the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic, because you can play with both sides of the neural pathways that are going on and the actual nervous system, should I say. And so it's, there's some real benefits to doing some form of activity more than anything else. But for me, I just love it, love teaching it, love doing it, like to involve people in doing it. Most of the stuff with martial arts that I do is around, getting people to use different mediums, show what the body does when it's stressed, for instance, So when we get tight, when we're like this, if you imagine straining, well, that's how we live our lives. So all of us, although we can't feel it, many of us are like this, right, all our lives. And what happens is, if you can see my fists moving, so I'm really squeezing my fists, right?
Yeah.
And it's a vibration through the body. And what you can do is you can notice, without even doing that, how in your day your body vibrates.
Yeah, mine, at the minute, the stress. So I keep finding myself, I'm not really stressed. I've not really got anything to stress about. Do you know what I mean? But I keep finding myself recently, I'm like pushing down through my hands if I'm sat down, and I feel all my shoulders are tense. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. Just relax. And it's that going in, it's in the sympathetic nervous system, isn't it? It's that fight and flight response for what? I'm not being chased by anything or being attacked by anyone.
Yeah, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier on. So when we were growing up, suddenly the brain, it seems, or it appears from my own, this is my own development, so I don't know what others feel, but I can only give you from my own development, is that the brain has seemed to get me in a place where you go, oh, right, the fight and flight response, I've lived and breathed it. I know what it's like for fight and flight.
Yeah.
13 years in a special unit, and ultimately you live in a state almost of that fight and flight all the time, or I'd say out of the time that I was in there, so you could say that I was operational for over 1,400 days, which means that I was at the front of doing something at that time. So high cortisol, high adrenaline. And I noticed that actually that's how people are living right today. The brain has sort of took the easy road, which means that even the slightest change in someone's life that hasn't had those experiences can create a place that they're living always in that sympathetic nervous system, the fight and flight. And this is, you hear this quite often with people. I've heard it on different specialists or just news, people in media, how fast the world is turning. And that's the importance, is moving across to breathing. Parasympathetic is about rest and digestion. The things that I've seen is an increase in people with stomach issues, increase in illness with regards to organs. If you think about the vagus nerve that goes throughout the body, what breathing does is it enables you to start getting to a rest and recuperation, which is why you get some great people out there talking about the 6-second breaths, 6 in, 6 out, and just creating a space. There's the stuff that we are researching at the moment as well, looking at how the heart sends us twice as many messages to the brain, and that actually that instinct of your heart and your head, so getting it in balance, that breathing can do that. And then intent, so where the heart intent is, and then having gratitude. So these sort of little lessons, but they're also within martial arts. They're things that are 8,000 years old. So, and these teachings, then suddenly you go, oh yeah, but they're also not only, look, it goes into yoga, it goes into meditation.
It goes into sport, John, doesn't it? This is the thing, if you're not, if you're not breathing properly, sounds weird, people, but breathing is very underrated. Try going without it for 5 minutes and see what happens. It's with sport, if you're not breathing properly, especially when I was rowing, you can lose a race based on your breathing if you're not oxygenating your body in the appropriate way. And like you say, breathing can rev you up or it can calm you down.
Exactly.
People don't really realise that as well. Simple techniques, John, isn't it, that can just, like you say, bring your system down. Catherine Temple, who has a show on here, she's one of my former trainers and a very, very good friend. She's always said 7-11 breathing. Yeah,
7-11, which is the cardiac rhythm, isn't it? It goes to, that's one again they suggest maybe for sleep and for getting into that real relaxed state. So you've got heart breathing, heart math, which is the stuff from the Institute of 6 and 6. And then you've got that's great from Kath as well, great 7-11 breath, brilliant. Martial arts, what we tend to do is we look and see how long we can breathe in. So we'll breathe in for maybe 10 seconds and breathe out for 10 seconds as we're doing a circuit, but we're doing it in through the nose, out through the nose. And again, this is more of a workout, physical activity, and also creating that, if you think when we get triggered by a response in the real fight and flight, now that we've something's attacking us, 17 seconds is the first hit, boom, then 45 seconds. So you've got a minute and then your depletion from a proper attack, from something, So if you can get into a place where you're trained, so this is somebody who's training, literally they could be doing a workout, that you can actually be at the top impact when suddenly there's this massive drain of, adrenal dump without going into shock. So again, this is the other thing, is that the breath stops you going into shock from the adrenal dump if you get in the fight and flight.
This is a handy thing, actually. We teach this when we do courses and stuff, don't we? But this is just a handy thing for people to know in life. You do have the opportunity within your body to get control of it again when you become aware. That leads us into second song, John, actually leads us into that nicely, because you used to use this song for a particular reason, didn't you? So this Firestarter by The Prodigy. I love The Prodigy anyway. It's my old raving days. But why particularly Firestarter for you?
Interestingly, before going out on an operation on the ground where, there's bombs and bullets and different things going on, people would anticipate this is about, getting ready, getting the raring up. I did it for the opposite. I was already nervous. I was already, you don't know what you're going into. Yeah. So I used to set it off to allow all that mixed energy to get it out with the music.
Yeah.
And then when I'd go out, everything calm. So even though there was things maybe going that were really quite horrendous, my state was, I trained myself. Pavlovian response was music, adrenaline in the location.
Yeah.
As soon as I left the gate, straight into focus state.
Level. So you used to use the Firestarter to actually get rid of the adrenaline.
Yeah. It's because you had all that, pent up before you're going out.
Yeah.
So you're like that, right? Well, I don't want to take that outside. I don't want to be in that state because that's not good. It's not safe. I need to be clear. I need to get everything balanced because I'm out of balance. So that used to kick me off. Used to jump around a little bit and then chill when you go through the gate. Then as soon as I left, as soon as I was outside, boom, that's it. Straight into that conditioned response.
Perfect. So for you guys listening then, a little bit of Firestarter to fire you up this morning though. All right, thanks, Django.
sound. Tune in for change.
And welcome back again to Reality Bites with me, your host, Wendy Smith, and my special guest this morning, John Phillips. So just before we jump back into the chat, John, got a couple of comments on here on the YouTube channel. So Kath says she remembers feeling responsible for her sister and brother as well and always wanted them to do well and look after them. And perhaps true growth comes for us by doing that, but they don't get to grow in the same way. Our gifts and strengths come from the struggle. In such ways, the butterfly gets its wings. That's quite nice. Yeah. And then Adriana's got a question. So, John, do you find it difficult to translate the ancient Eastern morals of the soul of martial arts to the Western students? And how do the old soul morals fit in today's practices of martial arts in the West?
You know, what I've had to do is I've had to find the academic research behind things for Western culture to accept it. This is my own, again, perspective is many things are because they are. I don't need an explanation. It is because it is. So when I find, different people talk to me about breathing and how they can, feel a flame or certain aspects, until you've actually felt what it means to you in that certain aspect, I could never express it or never be able to say, all right, this is what it, feels like. And it's your practice. It's for you to practice, like a Reiki healer, for instance, with, heating hands. We did purple hands the other day, in our breathing and stuff. So things are because they are. At the same time, then there's people, the naysayers or the people that really, they want a fast result. I've done karate, with Shotokan karate, with my cousin. I started that at 7. And I'm still not a black belt in it. I'm a brown and white belt. And people go, but that's 40 odd years. I haven't done it for 40 odd years, but I've done it in and out,
Yeah.
But I haven't got to the end yet of that. I'm probably equally, I know how to do the katas the same as the 4th, 5th dans, or I know how to do and I can equally compete with them. But for me, it's not about the actual belts. They actually mean nothing. A black belt in Tang Soo Do, great. Kickboxing, black belt, brilliant. It doesn't mean to say that I'm any good at it. It just means that I've done a certain amount to that point. So for me, it's a lifelong thing. I get better every day. I do something each day, and it's the smallest things. That for me is what it's about. It's the consistency. It's doing those elements, and that I suppose is the translation for Western culture when they go, but I need a belt. I need to look like I'm doing stuff, or I'm not actually. I'm paying you to do it. Well, actually, I don't do it for money. It's done for a totally different reason. And it's a very interesting question. Is in Western culture, everybody's on a want. It appears not everyone. That's wrong.
Slight generalisation, but
yeah, there's a lot of people that think that there needs to be an output that has a gift at the end of it, where ultimately the gift is already in you. The gift is the fact that you're able to do it.
And being able to unlock that potential on the inside. The one thing that I have learned from you, it is the practice and enjoying the practice of it. So not going, I'm just going to, do this because I want the end result. But what it's doing is teaching me that all the breathing and the movement stuff we do, even when we've done the what we would call the self-defense stuff, it's the practicing of the movements and the breathing that then becomes such a natural thing that if anything happened, like we were talking about yesterday, your body just naturally goes into that space to defend yourself. Or if you're getting stressed and anxious, your body, you've now created a natural way that you can just go, stop, breathe, goes, moves. So it's becoming more a way of life rather than I want the end result. I want to be a master. I want to put the medal on it or the trophy on it or give myself a tag to it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, this, isn't it? I work with some young professionals in sport, and often they are, it's the smallest bit of advice and it creates massive advantage to them. And you think, well, they're actually, they're looked after by professional organizations that are not seeing the person. They just see the end. And this is where we're getting it a little bit, again, from my perspective, we're getting it wrong. We're all individuals. So when we're doing our training and stuff, I look at people that I train, and not one of them, I pair them off again. I don't pair them. I pair them to them. I look at them. What have they improved? How are they getting on? I don't put them next to somebody who could be a top student. I don't really have a top thing. It's a case of they're all equal. They're all trying. And sometimes if they're not trying hard enough, that's going on in their own lives. I discuss how we can maybe maneuver what's going on. If they're happy in their self in what they're doing, then who am I to change that? All I'd know is that if you want an output, genuinely, it doesn't come always easy. And I've got multiple lessons. When I was 17, I went to the Royal Marines. I decided to stop doing it because my best friend left. Probably not a good decision, but I did it. In 1997, I went for selection for the first time. I had a stomach ulcer that went a bit wrong because I was stressed during the test exercise and I wasn't very well. I went back 5 years later and passed. In recent times, I did a master's in business at Leicester University where I didn't complete the dissertation because I ran out of time. That was my own. So I redid a whole MBA again to show that I could do it and passed. And so, it's the relentless pursuit of what it is within you. It's the relentless pursuit, and people can say, oh, yeah, but you've done it, Yeah, I've done it because I wanted to do it.
And I think that's the thing, John, isn't that the thing with life in general? I think what tends to happen is people look over there and they go, oh, they're doing that. Maybe that's a good, I should do that. So they're not following, they've not really truly looked inside and chosen what they want to do. They've just looked at this over there or thought, oh, they're doing that. I need this qualification if I'm going to do that. So, then I do that. And they end up, that's why they lose motivation, because I always say, motivation, your internal motivation to get a result is based on your motive and action. So what is the motive behind it? Is it something that's going to, nurture you and nurture other people? And I personally, again, my perspective, I find if it's not, the end result isn't going to be that good, or I'll quit before I get to the end result because I'm not really bought into the.
I love what you brought up there, that motivation. I've met many motivated professionals and very few committed. And the ones that are the committed and motivated tend to be the ones that just continue. They're at it, they're on it. They can also be excessive. So there is a fine balance in everything that we do of being over the, too far this way, this way. And this is why we talk about that balance, the sympathetic, parasympathetic, or we could look at breathing. We could look at things, the haves and have-nots, that fine balance. We could say playing games, not playing games, going outside, staying indoors. There's always seems to be certain things, and all of these aspects brings us down to my favorite thing of less is more.
I was going to bring that up in a minute, but yeah. John has a wonderful saying for everybody watching, and I never really understood this until we did some martial arts training, which was when John took me through a process of hitting some pads with anger and then relaxing and hitting some pads. And the difference when you're in a state of relaxed, so less tension, you actually get a better result than if you're really tense. And that now from, that learning, I do my best to apply it through everything I'm doing, and it makes such a difference. So where did your lessons more come from, John?
That literally was me. Very angry individual, sometimes got stressed with regards to just frustration in some respects, elements where you've tried to deliver so much over the years, and then you become a little bit, even in your own world, a little bit cloudy and foggy. And then I started going back to my own teachings, going back to the things that I taught other people, and then went, look, every time I do a little bit, it's almost like I do less, I'm getting a better output. And it doesn't mean I'm doing less, it just means that the feeling inside, I'm relaxed more. It doesn't matter if nobody likes you anymore. Before, in my younger years, I always wanted to be liked. Even, I suppose we all want to be liked. It got to a stage where I was like that. I don't really, I've got to that stage now where you take me as I am. I'll never do you a wrong. I'll always try to help. But I do work on a rule of 3. Yeah. So that on the third time, if I think you're really not that nice, then I'll ask you. I just won't engage with them anymore. It's where I might have clipped them around the ear many years ago. Now, all of that sort of aspect, it's a changing thing. It's an evolution of my own life as I've gone through, and that's it. When I found that I went into a mental health unit, and there was one of the young people in there. It's in a secure unit, and taught me a lot about how many good people are there that are under-resourced, that are trying to do good, but then I could get a better output. And the only reason I got a better output is that I had 1 hour, and it was my complete hour with a student, with somebody.
Yeah. They're
trying to help loads and numerous. And this is it, is that, we go, oh, they're not doing a good job. They're doing a bloody good job. They're doing great jobs. Lots of people are, but there's just so many they're trying to assist that they forget focus, and eventually they lose it. And that's the thing, you go in with all the enthusiasm and then it gets lost. But this young...
Similar with the educational system, that without us unpacking that one totally today, but that is, you end up with, we both call it the Ofsted press, because there's so much pressure coming down. It gets to the teachers, and the teacher just scheduled time, don't have time for that, haven't got time. So the individual gets a little bit lost, and it becomes a blanket experience.
Yeah, it's speed, statistics and measures, they are important, but what will be the output? So as I randomly go off, as gross domestic product goes this way with technology, we've seen the people go this way.
Yeah.
So again, that's why that's the key. And much like, as I go back to the young person, 5 years in these things, did some training with me, and mum took her out, came and did some private coaching for maybe over a 6-month period. She had, say, 6 sessions, and now she's at university. She's no longer taking as much of the medication. She's moved out of that. She did it, not me. I just gave some tools and said, maybe breathing, this is it, discussed it, not from her perspective, the types of things. And I see this now more and more. I'm seeing it in lots of people, is that, and this is from all walks of life, is that we're of speed, which is what you brought. We're moving such a fast place. This is now the fight and flight, going back to what we said earlier.
Yep.
You just need to get off sometimes, take a breath. And this is going back to, again, the East and Western thing, is that just take a breath.
Yeah, just breathe.
It's amazing what it can do.
That wanders us nicely into the next one, chasing cars. Because it does seem that a lot of people spend a lot of time chasing cars. So Chasing Cars Snow Patrol, why this song for you, John, today?
Yeah, one of my releases and passions was to learn how to sing. And so I learned how to sing classically. I'm not very good, but I learned about the idea behind it, the ideas and stuff, with a great lady called Catherine, and Catherine King. Really, she's an awesome singer. And anyway, it's not operatic, it's not anything anywhere near it, but it was my favourite song to sing in a karaoke, so with Dave, spent many a time having a few beers with Dave, an old mate, and singing songs.
All right, I'll remember that when I head over to see you. We'll get the karaoke out and have a sing of this one. So, Chasing Cars, Snow Patrol. Thank you, Django.
We'll do it all, everything on our own. We don't need anything or anyone. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? I don't quite know how to say how I feel. Those 3 words I said too much. They're not enough. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? Forget what we're told before we get too old. Show me a garden that's bursting into life. Let's waste time chasing cars around our heads. I need your grace to remind me to find my own. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? Forget what we're told before we get too old. Show me a garden that's bursting into life. All that I am, all that I ever was, is here in your perfect eyes. They're all I can see. I don't know where, confused about how as well. Just know that these things will never change for us at all. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world?
Had a sound, tuning in for change.
And welcome back again, everybody, to Reality Bites with me, your host, Wendy Smith, and my special guest this morning, John Phillips. So, John, we've had a little wander through your early career as a bricklayer at 5 years old, and then into sport, and then into martial arts, and then into the specialist services. And I wanted to start this segment. I have a quick question. Do you run any online martial arts courses?
Not specifically. However, if people would like it, then I'll always do it. You know, it's one of those things where I found over the years that I don't necessarily put things out to do certain things unless somebody wants them. So I'm always willing to, you know, to take time for people. So if somebody wants to train or learn, then you know, it's always an opportunity or an option for them if they want to do it.
So what we'll do is at the end of this segment, I'll share get you to share your contact details. So if anybody does want to get in contact with John for anything we've spoken about, he does offer an awful lot of services. It's worth going and checking out the website and having a look at everything John does, or just contacting him, having a chat, because he can always design things as well, bespoke for you, because we are all individual systems, aren't we? So John, what is the future holding for you now? Where is it you're going? Because you've just moved as well, haven't you? And you have a lovely place now with a lovely view, which I'm looking forward to coming over and seeing.
Yeah. So yeah, I've built my own little dojo now down the bottom of the garden. As in, it was already there. It's just a very large shed that's now got a matted area. It's got all my kit and equipment. For me, I suppose now is that I spent many years looking at, you know, protecting people, and I've done it even now. And it's, I suppose, in that if I was to leave anything, it's that now how many can I assist? I need to earn some money as well. I keep getting told off by my lovely lady, you've got to charge, you know, for doing this. Yeah, but I'll just do it. You know, it's just, and that's the thing, is that the thing that I love doing the most will not necessarily pay the bills, you know, but at the same time, I just love, you know, the output of going, well, you know, were they better when they first started? I think I've got 7 professional footballers and due to contrary belief that when they're at the younger stages, they don't earn a great deal of money.
No.
So I'm just working with them to see how they can go forward. I played at Southampton when I was about 17, and one of the things that, I mean, I changed then after that. So I went in the Marines after I'd been let go by Southampton. I let myself down on the trial day, and I still think about it. You know, it's still there, and I thought, oh, if I could have helped somebody else, you know, what would that be like? And lo and behold, in the last year or so,
you've been inundated with footballers.
Yeah, guess what? It came back. The whole aspect of working with professionals, you know, and the thing that I loved when I was younger as well, suddenly comes in your lap, and you just like that, and that, you know, you're moving them from under 23 sides into first teams, into international sides, and you're looking at them and they're developing with you. And this is the thing that I said earlier about, you know, create no assumption for them, that they're under no illusion. When I talk to them, I say, okay, I'm very black and white when I do stuff. If I think that you're wasting time, you know, my time, I said, because I'm giving it, I said, then I will not help you. You must help yourself. You must. It's an important aspect. And I said, right, so when do you go to bed at night? 2 a.m. I went, brilliant. You are playing at, you know, 45% of your potential, and you've just took another, you know, percentage by not being in bed, you know, to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Get the right rest and recuperation. You're playing multiple games. It's not giving you what you need. If you want motivation and commitment, they're motivated guys. Are you committed?
Committed.
Or is it all about, you know, is it all about fame, fortune?
The prestige, the Ferraris, the girls, yeah.
Yeah, and this is it. This is it. You know, a great learning I got from a guy, Tony Whittle, is the "What's in it for me" T-shirt. You know, the "What's in it for me" T-shirt, and in life, every one of us wears it. Every one of us. We might be the greatest, nicest people. I do things because it makes me feel good to see other people doing good, because I wish I would have had it. You know, that's in it for me. All of us have a "What's in it for me" T-shirt. Everybody,
so if you can take anything from today, our lovely listeners and our viewers, it's basically everything you have is on the inside of you, and less is more. It's as simple as that. John, I'm going to have you back if you don't mind, because I'd like to explore some of the stuff we've talked about today. So if anybody would like to contact John, it's john@pioneeringedge.com. So you can get hold of him on that email. And if you have any trouble, please get hold of me at Kinder Sound Radio, and I'll be more than happy to pass you on. I'd just like to say, John, thank you so much this morning for joining me. And I want to just say hello to your lovely other half, Heather. Love you loads, Heather. Morning to Mum and Dad as well. Thank you for your support, Mum and Dad. That's Roger and Margaret. Kath for always tuning in. Mark and Dave for always tuning in. And for our lovely listeners and viewers on YouTube, give us a like, hit the subscribe button so we can keep you up to date. And to play us out now, John, Bring Him Home from Les Miserables. Just quickly, because we've got to get off, why this song for you?
I love it.
Just love it. Simple as that. So on that note, Django, take it away, please, with some Bring It Home.
God on high, hear my prayer in my need. You have always been there. He is young, he's afraid. Let him rest, heaven blessed. Bring him home, bring him home, bring him home. He's like the sun I might have known if God had granted me a son. The summers die one by one, although they fly on and on, and I am old and will be gone. Bring him peace, bring him joy. He is young, he is only a boy. You can take, you can give. Let him be, let him live. If I die, let me die. Let him live. Bring him home. Bring him home.